Hari Om, Namaste, welcome. I am Akash, the director of Shakti Yoga Therapy Center in Four Ways, Gauteng, and I'm going to be speaking to Dr Hema Kalan. She has been helping me with my yoga therapy courses over the past 2 years, and we decided just to share some information specifically about some of the benefits of yoga for COVID patients. So thank you so much for joining me, and so maybe just share a little bit about your background.
So thank you, Taryn, for having me, and namaste to everyone. I'm an integrative medical practitioner treating the root cause of illness. So we look at how patients eating, sleeping, stress management, movement during the day to prevent certain infections or diseases. Because by treating the root causes, we're trying to prevent disease, and if they have a chronic condition, we're trying to reverse it as much as possible.
Wonderful. It sounds like medicine's sort of going back to its origins, like with Ayurveda, which was very holistic and looking at people physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, their lifestyles, and really trying to give a complete picture of the actual root cause of the disease. So it's wonderful to see that modern medicine is actually now bringing the two worlds together.
Yes, perfectly, because we know that we are not physical bodies, and there's an emotional and spiritual component to each person. And a lot of chronic illnesses can be prevented through our lifestyles. It's just the acute medical conditions that need attention straight away.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about what are some of the potential benefits of yoga, and let's think of it as a preventative measure, and then perhaps for someone who has been diagnosed, how can yoga possibly assist them in their healing process?
Okay, so the most important thing for me for yoga is bringing that awareness of the person to their body. So if they're not feeling right, they would pick it up straight away that this is not right. They don't have to go and do a specific test with a medical doctor or with somebody else. So there's that mind-body connection where they just know something's off. So in order to prevent things. So if they're feeling sick and they need to work or they need to exercise, they will make a decision, I think I need to rest now. My body's telling me I need to rest. So that awareness is the most important thing for me. But throughout the postures and the breath work and that awareness, we also aligning the spine really well, and when we're doing that, we are activating the neurological system, and we know the neurological system controls every other system in the body, whether it's your immune system, whether it's your hormonal system, it's your nerves that give you these messages. So yoga helps with that. There's also, people are faced with lots of negative thinking, and with yoga, we are able to break that negative thinking cycle and live in the moment and see things for what they really are. So on a preventative basis, there's a multitude of things that it can help with.
Wonderful. And I think we can't really underestimate how important our responses to stress in terms of our immune system health, and how much yoga can really help with the stress and anxiety, and people are feeling this complete sense of overwhelm almost, because it's not just that there's this threat to their physical health, it's their finances, it's their social support networks. It's impacted us on so many different levels, and I think yoga can really come in as such a wonderful support.
It's very interesting you say that. I mean, last week we did a survey during a talk that I'd given, and we asked patients what are the things that are stressing you the most in this time. And we had, finances, your relationships, your life, and rate it. And, I thought it would be finances number one. And the first thing that actually came up was lifestyle, which is your sleep, your exercise, your stress, and your movement. So if that is the foundation of everything, and that is the things that's stressing people more than their relationships, more than their jobs, more than money issues.
That's very interesting.
So it just shows how powerful your lifestyle is, and if yoga comes in that way, what a huge impact it's going to have on everyone.
And that's one of the beautiful things about yoga, is you can practice it anywhere. You don't need a large amount of space, you don't need any fancy expensive equipment. It's really very accessible, and I think for me personally, going through the lockdown phases and teaching my students and then translating to teaching online, it was just such a blessing that it didn't matter how restricted we were, we could practice yoga. There's no sense of, okay, but I need my gym and I need weights and I need all this specialized equipment. So it really is something that is accessible to anyone at any time, under any circumstances.
And you know, when you're doing that, and like you said, you're quite I'm restricted, I can't go out somewhere. When you're doing the yoga, that's what you feel. The complete opposite is what you feel. You feel very expansive, you feel very free, you feel very limitless. Having said that, I must say that there's a difference in doing yoga by yourself, and there's a difference in doing it with a group. And they both have, unique benefits, and I would suggest people go to a yoga studio if they can, and if they can't on the other days, then do it at home.
Absolutely. I think, as you say, there's benefits to both, and it's wonderful to have your own home practice, but also go to a qualified teacher who's going to teach you the techniques correctly, that you will get the full benefits of them.
Exactly. I mean, I was doing yoga by myself during lockdown, and I was just going from one posture to another, not realizing I wasn't resting enough between the postures, and that's when the body is working and rejuvenating and renewing itself. So I think it's very important to go to a qualified yoga instructor.
Absolutely. And I think something just to be aware of, we use yoga as a very broad term, but within that there's several different styles of yoga.
Yes.
And all of them have their benefits, but there's sort of a time and a place for each one. And I think the style Dr. Hema is really speaking to is Hatha yoga, where you're going to spend a little bit more time holding the postures, where you are going to have moments of rest, where you really restore the breath and reconnect into the body before you continue into the next pose. And from a yoga therapy point of view, that is the style of yoga that we would most often rely on to help us with our patients.
Yes, and the brilliant thing about this yoga is that, throughout the years there have been many different types of exercises or fads that have come and gone, whether it's aerobics or whether it's a spinning class or whether it's this or that. But the yoga has been around for 5,000 years. So the posture that you were doing or I'm doing is exactly what has been done 5,000 years ago. It has not been twisted by any culture or religion or language or country. It's exactly the same, and that's the nice thing about it, is that it's been documented in a certain way and it's been practiced in a certain way, and there hasn't been any change to it. So there's ancient science behind all of this.
Absolutely. As you say, it's the most tried and tested method because it really has been around for thousands of years.
Yes.
Thank you. And Dr. Hema, just in terms of perhaps someone who's not feeling well but they're wanting to do yoga, are there any guidelines you would give them in terms of maybe what to potentially avoid and what aspects of yoga they should possibly focus on?
So it depends on when you say how they are feeling, if they're not feeling well. If you are having a fever or if you have diarrhea, it's not the time for you to go and do a headstand or one of those really hectic yoga postures. Then you should be resting, lying in bed, but it doesn't mean that you can't do certain yogic breathings. That's going to help eliminate toxins from the lung. That's going to help digestion. That's going to help relax your stress levels. If you are feeling that your joints are stiff and you're lying in bed, there's certain yoga movements that you can help release those things. But I think the important thing here is that if you are feeling sick, it's important to rest, and then once you get better is to introduce things slowly into the system rather than do the whole yoga class.
Wonderful. Yes, because you can actually slow down the progress if you're doing very intense exercises in the saunas.
Completely.
Absolutely. And there's also a wonderful technique of yoga nidra, which can be done or should always be done lying down. So that's a wonderful proven method again, just to help restore and recover the body and just to speed up the healing process.
Yes, yoga nidra, it's going to not only have that benefit, but on many other levels. The amount of people that I see that are not sleeping these days, I think 50 to 70% of people out there are not sleeping properly or having good quality sleep. So just doing something like yoga nidra helps increase that quality of sleep, helps them increase the quantity of the sleep as well. And then that resets the whole body, so healing can actually happen, because without the sleep, the healing is not going to happen.
Absolutely. You know, and yoga says the same thing. It's during that sleep time that you actually connect to your higher conscious energy, and that is what's rejuvenating all the cells in the body.
And completely.
So just lastly, I know one of your other passions is diet and looking at what we're eating. So in terms of, again, perhaps someone who suspects they have COVID, or they're just generally feeling a little bit under the weather, what would be some of the recommendations you would make?
Diet. Okay, so I would approach any sort of illness, whether it's COVID or any viral illness, since we're in the midst of a winter. Things that actually are going to boost the immunity, and things that are going to make you more alkaline. So I'm talking about a diet that's very high in fruits and fresh vegetables, things that are seasonal, so things that are not canned. You're not going to be eating canned lychees, but you will be eating something that's fresh in the market. Lightly cooked meals, steamed meals. When you are sick, obviously, raw foods is something that you want to avoid, like cold juices, and you want to have lightly cooked meals. But a focus on herbs and spices, because those are the true medicines. So we're talking about your turmeric and your ginger and your lemon and your black pepper, your cardamom, kalonji. There's a whole range of spices and herbs, and you can use every single one of them in the food that you're making, whether it's a soup or a pizza base or a pasta sauce. You can incorporate all of those spices in them, and they will
those healing herbs.
Yes, and that becomes your medicine.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Hema. I really appreciate you taking time out of your very busy schedule to come and speak with me. And would you just like to maybe share some of your social media contacts if anyone would like some more information?
Oh, sure, definitely. So I have a Facebook and an Instagram account as Dr. Hema Kalan. I also have a website, and if you choose to sign up for my newsletter, you can go onto the website, which is drhemakalan.com. And thank you for having me, Taryn. I hope that this little bit of information is going to help a lot of people out there, because to live a happy, healthy life, you do not need so much money and time and energy as people think that you need.
No, it's our birthright.
Yes.
That's what yoga teaches us.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Namaste.
you. Namaste.